does well. He's like a really nice young man, and he's extremely talented. But I watched them last spring, and an awful lot of moments. The bigger the moment, the smaller he plays. And it was a tremendous amount of pressure. And one other part of this trade that I just absolutely hate, and I know he had to be in it to make it. They're going to miss Dante DiVincenzo. They're going to miss him a lot. He was a big part. Let's go back to the beating heart analogy. He was a big part of the beating heart of that team. So, do I think that they're exponentially better? At this point, I don't. Leon Rose in that nice Brian Cashman bubble, where every time he makes a move, now it's just he's been touched by the basketball gods, okay? And he's done a wonderful job here, and he's remade this franchise, and he's rebranded this franchise. And he's done something quite extraordinary. He's made them something other than James Dolan's Knicks. He's built an appealing team that actually can make you forget who owns the team. And
That's
so,
not easy.
Oh, hell no. And so I just loved who they were. I loved the shot they took, and everything that could have, think about it, everything that could have gone wrong at the end against the Pacers did. Everything that could have gone wrong. And after a season in which so much had gone right. And so, listen, their job is one thing. We know what it is. They're looking at one team. They're not looking at the Lakers or the Nuggets or anybody. They're looking right up the road in Boston. They're trying to build a team to beat the Boston Celtics, because the Boston Celtics aren't going anywhere. And to use a reference from 100 years ago that most kids around here don't know what it means. Now they're hoping, they keep looking for their Dave Busher, the missing link on the greatest basketball team that this city has ever produced, okay? I'm just not sure. Listen, and I'm not rooting against him. I want Leon Rose to be right. I want Karl-Anthony Towns to do well here. I'm just one of those guys who really, really, really liked the makeup and the chemistry of that team. And you know who's going to have to be convinced that this is the world's greatest move? And Nova Knicks is still here.
Well, this was fascinating about it, and I lean towards liking it. But the thing that's fascinating, when you think about the fact that Dante and Julius are now gone, and don't forget, we haven't seen Mikal Bridges in a Knicks uniform yet.
Right.
So
right.
it's going to be a completely different team. That's the thing that's fascinating. You have this vastly improved team, and this is a major change to the look of a team that was going the right direction. The question is, did he get it right? And it's going to be better enough to make him a title.
I wrote this the other day when my initial reaction to this. I wrote in the Daily News. Sometimes you can make one move too many, and I'm not saying that they did, but I wasn't as overwhelmed with happiness for Knicks fans when this deal was made as a lot of people, and that's fair. I understand why people like this, but again, that team that they put out on the floor, especially in the playoffs last year, was the most appealing Knicks team since the one that came from the 8th seed and went to the NBA Finals 25 years ago, where it came out of nowhere, okay? Upset the Heat, ended up playing the Spurs. You know, Sprewell, Houston, Patrick on his last leg. And I can't remember the city falling for a Knicks team since like it fell for this one. And so if this makes them better, and they make their run, and they end up right where they look like they were last year, getting ready to play the Celtics, good for them. But you're going to have to convince me.
All right, last one. Giants. Was that a step forward, playing with a really good team to beat them 40-0 last year in Dallas, or was that a missed opportunity because the Cowboys aren't that good?
Missed opportunity. It shows you where the bar is set. I will go back to something I said after the game. Daniel Jones has played swell after his opening game debacle. Another nice kid, okay? but you have to score touchdowns to win in this game. You have to score touchdowns to win this game. And Ernie Accorsi, my dear friend, one of the best people I've ever met in sports, was told back in the day by an old Colts coach, the measure of a quarterback is this: can you take your team down the field and score a touchdown to win the game? And he had multiple opportunities to do that. I'll just leave you with this, because I know you guys got to go. Neighbors caught 12 balls. One of them was for 39. One of the long passes that Daniel Jones did not underthrow, which is what he usually does. He caught 30 for 39 yards, okay? His other 11 catches were for a total of 76 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson caught 11 balls for 71 yards. They've turned these guys into running backs, and I'm telling you, you keep throwing those short balls to Neighbors, you're going to get him pasted, okay? Because he's going to get hit like a running back. And so if they can't throw the ball down the field, then I mean, maybe we've seen Giants teams go to Seattle before and surprise us. But man, oh man, if they get thumped again, and the Seahawks are going to have an edge because of the way they just lost to the Lions. Man, oh man, it's tough to see a lot of wins on the rest of that schedule.
And it's not looking good for Neighbors to be in that game either. So
no, but here's the thing: you keep throwing those short balls, and you're going to get the kid killed.
So wasn't that Belichick's game plan in Super Bowl 25? Give them the short stuff and beat the hell out of their wide receivers, right?
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Mike, you brought it, as always. Enjoy the baseball this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, man.
Okay, guys. I had a blast. Bye-bye.
The great Mike Lupica. Yeah, what I love about Mike is, it's not like you're asking him about stuff he hasn't thought about. Every single subject we've hit, he's put deep thought into already.
And here's the thing. He doesn't know what we're going to ask him.
No.
And not only does he have an answer, but a thoughtful answer to every question. And we threw about 5 different subjects, and they were all fascinating stuff. Speaking of fascinating, go ahead. Rick DiPietro has some recommendations for your viewing pleasure on Halloween for Natalie.
Why did he not send them to me?
I don't know, because Michael's not here, so he sent them to me.
What's wrong with him?
He says, have Peter film himself in the shower. That'll scare the blank out of her.
Oh, that's really, really nice.
And this one, Peter, do you have any of your high school baseball games on VHS?
That's, again, it's weak and it's sad.
But at least it's on brand. It's not, because we've seen him just be downright offensive.
How about
I was able to read those on the air?
How about if I want to scare her, or perhaps just make her really, really sad and feel bad, a Rick DiPietro NHL highlight tape? Yummy. What about that famous DiPietro fight? That would sadden her.
See, there you go. Good for you, Peter.
Yeah, good for me.
You can play at that game.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, how about this? Anthony Pusick steps in for ENN.
There you go.
We have a lot to get to today. ENN is next right here. It is the K Show. It's Peter and Don. It's soon to be ENN. It's ESPN New York and yes.
The Mets.
Right side base hit, right field. Nimmo is in.
Buried in the mayoral election. Juliet Papa 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
And of course, for continuing coverage of the federal investigation into Mayor Adams, keep it locked to 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM and at 1010wins.com. We're continuing to try and work out the details, meantime, on that baby girl who was found dead on the Upper West Side overnight. Cops got the call about 3 in the morning, showed up to a home on West 72nd right there near Columbus. The 5-month-old was found unconscious and unresponsive. They rushed her over to the hospital, but that baby didn't make it. She was pronounced dead there. There's still a lot of questions as to what happened. Stick with 1010 Wins as we learn more about this developing story. We got a reporter headed that way, and we will expect to have more later. Overseas, Israel says 7 of its soldiers were killed in southern Lebanon as troops engaged in a ground battle against Hezbollah militants. The Israeli incursion started, and the region is bracing for more escalation.
Immediate and unconditional release of all hostages.
Guterres says the deadly cycle of tit-for-tat violence must stop.
Allison Keyes, Guterres says it is absolutely essential to avoid all-out war in Lebanon on a whole bunch of fronts. And here at home, of course, as as we mentioned, the NYPD assuring New Yorkers, and particularly in Jewish communities, that their guard is up. They're adding extra security for any and everything in the wake of the overseas chaos. Stay with 1010 Wins and 1010wins.com for the latest developments out of the Middle East. Wins News Time 426, and now Bloomberg Money Watch. Here is Andrew Wojay.
Modest gains for stocks this afternoon following losses this morning. Dow finished up 40, NASDAQ rose 15, S&P 500 increased nearly 1. A lot can change in less than a year. At the start of 2024, the CEO of drug maker Novo Nordisk was fielding phone calls from food industry executives scared that his weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy would slam their sales. Now they are sensing opportunity. Nestle has launched an entire frozen food line specifically for people taking those drugs. ConAgra, Campbell Soup, and Danone plan to highlight their products' protein, an ingredient the drug makers are told to increase, or the drug takers, rather, are told to increase. The maker of weight loss drugs Mounjaro and Zepbound, whose success has made it the most valuable drug company in the world, is selling...
Hey, I hope I'm not going to lose you.
200 ballistic missile show guest host attorney Angela Rye over Vice President Kamala Harris's role in the current economy.
The problem we have in our economy today is that prices have gone up massively. Wages adjusted for inflation is down. People's pocketbooks are hurting. She broke the economy.
Donald Seward Black argued that Harris's tie-breaking vote on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 led to inflation and increased living costs.
The African American Cinema Society at the University of Southern California continues to thrive after 34 years. Founded by film directors David L. Watts and the late John Singleton in 1990, this unique club provides a supportive community for Black students to create and enjoy cinema. The LA Sentinel highlights the AACS's offerings, including networking opportunities, special events, and workshops. The organization remains the only club at USC specifically dedicated to Black filmmakers. I'm Bree Wood, along with Trey Thomas on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network. Your Washington Roundup is next.
In the wake of Hurricane Helene, Florida U.S. lawmakers on both sides of the aisle want Congress to come back early and boost funding for FEMA. Senator Rick Scott says the special session needs to happen quickly as lawmakers don't return to the Hill until after the November election.
So I think it's important we find out exactly what their needs are, and we go back and we have a bill that just deals with disaster relief, not just, of course, for Florida, but this disaster and others.
And now this, the Biden administration is supporting U.S. dock workers. The strike by the International Longshoremen's Association is ongoing and is blocking everything from food to vehicle shipments at ports from Maine to Texas. Analysts estimate the strike could cost the U.S. economy roughly $5 billion a day. The union represents about 45,000 U.S. dock workers. And that's your Washington Roundup. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 News source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Imagine a job where every day is about making a difference, where every day you're growing your career and empowering others. Direct support professionals are the champions who advocate for and support people with developmental disabilities. They're the people in our community fulfilling a calling that's more than work. Join us on a path that transforms lives, including yours. Apply to be a direct support professional at directsupportcareers.com. It's more than work. It's your calling.
New York's BIN is powered in partnership with Direct Relief, Lincoln Tech, the New York City Administration for Children's Services, and Chevy. Thank you for partnering with a purpose on the Black Information Network.
Coco Gauff became one of the youngest American female players to win a major at the age of 19. However, tennis icon Serena Williams holds the distinction of being the youngest female player to date. She won her first U.S. Open at the age of 17. I'm Morgan Wood, and that's another BIN fun fact. Got a story that affects our community? Call the Black Information Network hotline at 855-500-9BIN.
Latest on the Black Information Network. New York Governor Kathy Hochul appears to want more changes from Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is facing federal corruption charges and could be hit with more charges. Hochul, who has the power to remove Adams from office, says she wants to make sure
for key positions working with the mayor are filled with people who are going to be responsible. The feds have been investigating a number of Adams staff members and said in court more people could be charged. A Missouri appeals court is overruling a decision that favored Lincoln University in a discrimination lawsuit. KMIZ reports that former university employee Jim Marcantonio administrators pay raises similar to what their African-American counterparts received. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
And I'm Kevin Brown with your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Michael Brown Sr., whose son, 18-year-old Michael Brown Jr., was murdered by police in Ferguson, Missouri a few years ago. Now he's discussing a foundation named in his son's honor with the Black Information Network's Rev This Job.
He graduated August 1st. He was murdered August 9th. So it's just a lot of things that they put out there to dehumanize him, to make him look like some type of monster, you know, when he's a teenager, you know? Yeah. Right? So it's just sad how they picture us, because we're black, you know, to be these villains.
Brown discussing upcoming activities with the Chosen for Change Foundation.
Actually, we have one event coming up, this children. You know, this year we're trying to get with some other organizations because we're trying to get the dome.
Brown's murder helped catapult the issue of police use of force against unarmed Black Americans to the top of U.S. policy and political action. For more information, visit chosenforchange.org.
Author Ta-Nehisi Coates faced some awkward moments during a recent appearance on the CBS Morning Show. Coates was promoting his new book, The Message, which highlights how his trip to the Israeli-occupied West Bank has intensified his criticism of apartheid in Israel. But the interview became strained when host Tony DeCopel said if he didn't know better, he'd say the book was actually written by an extremist. Coates quickly defended himself, saying his perspective comes from those who don't have a voice. Coates pointed out that mainstream media voices have no problem expressing sympathetically about Israel. But what he saw in Palestine, South Hebron Hills, and Haifa represented stories that are not being told.
The U.S., UK, Australia, France, Canada, and India have all issued official warnings for citizens to leave Lebanon immediately. This, as Israel's military says it is carrying out a wave of extensive strikes in southern Lebanon with a goal of destroying Hezbollah infrastructure. The group's leader was killed in an airstrike several days ago. African students are now in a quandary about whether they should remain in Lebanon or return home to countries such as Uganda, Zimbabwe, and Cameroon. Officials with American University of Beirut say the academic curriculum remains flexible and accommodations are being made for current disruptions and to ensure academic continuity for enrolled students.
Protests against economic hardship are raging in Nigeria this week as the West African nation marked its 64th Independence Day. President Bola Tinubu is calling for patience in the second mass demonstration in as many months. At least 20 people were fatally shot and hundreds arrested during a protest in August. A major economic downturn was caused by reforms to shore up dwindling foreign investments. And although the government is defending its policies, the immediate impact has helped push inflation to a 28-year high, with 63% of the population living in poverty.
I'm Mary McCready along with Kevin Brown on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Time now for traffic and weather.
On New York PIN 6800.
Travels around New York right now looking pretty busy. We're definitely seeing stop and go traffic on Harlem River Drive, south exit before 5th Avenue. Right lane is blocked and traffic is pretty slow in Manhattan, especially around 8th Avenue is where we're seeing that backlog. Also in the Bronx, watch for a center lane that's knocked out near the Bruckner and Sheridan Boulevard eastbound. Looks like we're back to the Deegan Expressway. We're seeing some slowing. Also the Cross Bronx, just after Jerome Avenue on the northbound side, shoulder knocked out for an accident involving a truck. Looks like we're back to the GWB, and we're going to see heavy delays in the Bronx. GWB right now, inbound, outbounds are looking pretty busy, just seeing heavy delays up and down. Weather forecast for tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 61. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Right now, 66 degrees. With New York City traffic and weather, I'm Chris Garrett on the Black Information Network. Yeah, or wherever you find your podcast.
News 24/7.
The Black Information Network.
New York's PIN 1600.
I'm
attention against him, especially how so-called secret grand jury information is being leaked.
And stated to them, this is just not right. Throughout the 10 months, to just have this leakage without just properly just do the investigation.
Meanwhile, another high-profile member of the Adams administration has called it quits. Mayoral aide Tim Pearson has resigned. The FBI also seized his phone over the summer and served him with a subpoena. And Pearson is involved in several other unrelated lawsuits alleging sexual harassment. He is the 5th high-ranking member to leave. The mayor is not leaving. In fact, it appears many New Yorkers are okay with him staying.
If you're proven guilty, then you should do your job. And if you're doing your job, then why not stay in office?